In the bustling heart of London, amidst the gleaming towers of Canary Wharf, Edward Langley swept the floors of a prestigious law firm. Dressed in a faded blue uniform, he pushed a mop with quiet precision, his presence unnoticed by the high-flying lawyers and executives. But Edward was no ordinary cleaner. He was, in fact, Edward Harrington, billionaire heir to the Harrington Group, a global empire spanning tech and real estate. Tired of shallow relationships built on his wealth, he had donned this disguise to find something genuine, a love untainted by his fortune. One rainy evening, as he polished the marble lobby, a young paralegal named Clara Evans stayed late, her desk lamp casting a warm glow. Clara, with her kind eyes and unassuming grace, was everything Edward's world of glitz lacked. She noticed him, not as a cleaner, but as a person. "You're always here late, Edward," she said, offering a tired smile. "Don't you ever get a break?" He chuckled, keeping his head low. "Just doing my job, Miss Evans." "Clara, please," she corrected, handing him a coffee from her thermos. "You deserve a moment to rest." That small gesture sparked something in Edward. For the first time in years, someone saw him, not his status. He vowed to know her better, all while guarding his secret. Days turned into weeks, and Edward found excuses to linger near Clara's desk. They shared small talk, her dreams of becoming a barrister, his fabricated tales of a modest life. One evening, as Clara left the office, she was cornered in an alley by a drunken client, his voice slurred and threatening. Edward, sweeping nearby, heard her cry, "Help! Someone, please." Clara's voice trembled. Edward dropped his broom and sprinted toward her. With a swift move, he pulled the man away, his strength surprising for a supposed cleaner. "Leave her alone," he said, his voice low but commanding. The man sneered, "Whore you, the janitor. Piss off." Edward's eyes darkened. "Walk away. Now." Intimidated by Edward's sudden intensity, the man stumbled off. Clara, shaken but unharmed, looked at Edward with wide eyes. "Thank you. I don't know what would have happened. Just glad you're okay," he said, softening. "I'm Edward, by the way." She laughed, brushing off her nerves. "I know. Clara. And you're no ordinary cleaner, are you?" He froze, but her teasing smile eased him. "Just a guy who hates bullies," he replied, deflecting. But Clara's curiosity was piqued, and Edward knew his disguise was at risk. Their bond grew through stolen moments, lunch breaks in the office courtyard, shared laughs over her quirky legal anecdotes. Clara invited him to a local pub one evening, insisting he deserved a night out. Edward, wary of revealing too much, agreed. The pub was a world away from his usual Mayfair haunts, but with Clara, it felt like home. "You're different, Edward," she said over a pint. "You listen. Most people here are too busy chasing status." He shrugged, hiding a smile. "Status doesn't mean much when you're mopping floors." She leaned closer, her eyes searching. "I don't believe that's all you are. There's something more." Edward's heart raced. He wanted to tell her everything, but fear held him back. What if his wealth changed how she saw him? Instead, he changed the subject, and they laughed late into the night. But as he walked her home, Clara slipped her hand into his, and Edward knew he was falling for her. Edward's double life grew complicated when his ex-fiancée, Victoria Langley, a socialite who thrived on power, reappeared. She had ended their engagement years ago, citing his lack of ambition despite his wealth. Now, she was a client at the firm, and she noticed Edward's cleaner persona. One day, she cornered him in the office. "Edward, is that you, slumming it?" she mocked. "What's this charade?" "It's not a charade," he said coolly. "I'm just working." Victoria laughed, her voice dripping with disdain. "You're pathetic. Sign this contract for my new deal, and maybe I'll keep your little secret." Edward's jaw tightened. I don't owe you anything, Victoria. She smirked. You're nothing without your name. This job, this act, it's a burden. I'm doing you a favor by offering you a way out. I'd rather mop floors than play your games, he snapped, walking away. But Victoria's words lingered, and Edward wondered if his disguise was worth the risk of exposure. Clara overheard the exchange and confronted Edward later. What was that about? Victoria Langley knows you? Edward hesitated, then sighed. She's my ex. We were engaged, but it didn't work out. Clara frowned. She acted like you're someone important. Edward, who are you really? He wanted to confess, but the words caught in his throat. Just a guy trying to start over, he said, hoping she'd trust him. Clara studied him, then nodded. Okay. But no more secrets, all right? That night, Edward attended a gala as his true self, Edward Harrington, to maintain appearances. Clara, invited by a colleague, was there too, unaware of his identity. When she saw him in a tailored suit, mingling with London's elite, her jaw dropped. Edward, she whispered, approaching him. You're Edward Harrington? He nodded, bracing for her reaction. I wanted to tell you, Clara. I disguised myself to find someone who'd care for me, not my money. To his surprise, she smiled. I fell for the cleaner, not the billionaire. But you should have trusted me. Victoria, spotting them, tried to sabotage their connection. At the gala, she announced Edward's deception to the crowd, painting him as a manipulative liar. Whispers spread, but Clara stood by him. He's more real than any of you, she said, her voice steady. He doesn't need to prove himself to anyone. Edward, moved by her loyalty, took her hand. Clara, I love you. Not as a billionaire, but as the man who mops floors and shares pints with you. She laughed, tears in her eyes. I love you too, Edward. But you're cleaning my flat from now on. Edward revealed his identity to the world, stepping back into his role as Harrington Group's CEO. But he kept his promise to Clara, often sneaking away from boardrooms to join her at the pub or help with her legal studies. Victoria's schemes failed, and she faded from their lives, unable to compete with their genuine bond. At a quiet ceremony in a London park, Edward proposed to Clara, not with a diamond, but with a simple ring he'd bought with his cleaner's wages. This is me, he said. Just Edward. Clara accepted, and they built a life together, proving that love, not wealth, was the true measure of worth.
Thank you for watching this video. Hope you learned a lot from this story. Please kindly drop in your comments and also make sure you like, comment and subscribe to Donskinny TV channel for more stories like this.